Hi, so welcome to section 5 video 24, and in this video we're going to be covering tracking keyword rankings. So it's a good idea to actually keep an eye on your rankings over time, and how I'd recommend you doing this is actually targeting some specific keywords that you want to target on your website, and then recording them. So making a note of what those ranking positions are prior to actually making any optimizations. Then once you've made some optimizations, i.e. you've threaded keywords into the content, you've changed the meta descriptions and metadata, that sort of thing, you can then see, okay, how are my keyword rankings improving over time? And you can then get a better sense of what is working for your website. So I'm going to show you some tools that I use on a daily basis to track keyword rankings, and I want to show you a couple of different options. One is using a keyword tracking tool that specializes in tracking your keywords. The other one, which is actually the option I would recommend more, is using SEMrush and then tracking your keywords in an Excel document. So before we jump into those tools, just to give you a bit of a nod to where we're going with this. So in previous sections, we've identified keywords that we want to target, and we've gone through on-site optimization steps. Now we're going to be looking at SEMrush and Excel. That's the option I would prefer to track your keywords. And there are a bunch of other tools you can use for this. And I'm going to show you one of these, which is SEO Clarity. These are specialist tools that let you, or that are specializing in tracking keywords. So that's what they are set up for. I've used SE Rankings in the past, and actually that one's really good. That's certainly the best out of these three that I'm listing. LinkDex is probably the worst, and SEO Clarity is the one that we use here in my current role, but it's not very good either. So I would recommend out of those three, if you're going to go for one of these paid tools, SE Rankings is the best option. However, I don't think you need to pay for them, because if you've already got access to SEMrush and you're paying that monthly fee, then you can track your keywords this way. Again though, if you're not wanting to pay for SEMrush, then you can actually use tools online, which I'll also show you, which can give you a nod towards how your keywords are ranking. However, this is a more manual process, and it will take you a little bit longer to do this. With all this being said, and I'm going to jump into these tools and show you how you can track your keywords in practice. Okay, so as you can see, we're now on Google Chrome, and we're on this website, ahrefs.com/keyword-rank-checker. And this is the first of three tools. I know I said only two. I'm actually going to show you three tools that we can use to check keyword performance. And yeah, the first one is Ahrefs. So this is a free tool that you can use, and there are a bunch of other keyword rank checkers out there, but I would recommend this one because it is really good. And what this lets you do is find the keyword ranking for a particular keyword on your website. So for example, let's say I wanted to find the ranking for meal replacement shakes for the domain exantidiet.com, which is a brand I work with, as you probably know by now. And then we're going to check the ranking for the UK. So clearly, this is one of the reasons it's free, because this is quite a manual process. Because let's say we have 30 keywords we're wanting to check. Well, we'd have to go through this process for every single keyword, and it can be quite tedious. However, we'll do it anyway. So you just have to click I'm not a robot, just the reCAPTCHA, and then check the rankings, let it do its thing. And you can see here, we're currently ranking in position 10 for the keyword meal replacement shakes for Exanti, which is, yeah, we wanted to kind of improve this, but that's okay. And it also gives a bunch of different information here. We will cover some of this in the bonus section of this course, so particularly when we're talking about backlinks and their importance to SEO. And it also gives some information about other top ranking pages for the keyword meal replacement shakes, which is really handy. So it tells us that My Protein currently ranking in position 1 for this keyword, then Holland & Barrett, then Superdrug, and then the protein, then the Healthline, then the Protein Works, etc. And what we'll find in position 10, which is the bottom of page 1 on Google, is Exanti Diet. So that is how we can use this particular keyword rank checker. I do sometimes use this for one-off keywords, so I'm not having to export whole files, but it can be quite a tedious process. But it's free, so you've got that trade-off. The second tool I want to show you is SEMrush. So we've seen this website a number of times in this course already, and the section we want to click on the left-hand side is organic research. So what we'll do then is just type in exantidiet.com or whatever the name of your website is. And I'm going to keep it to the UK search base. So in other words, just looking at Google UK search results, and then I'll click search. And what this will then do is give us a bunch of different information relating to keywords for exantidiet.com. And here, if I scroll down, so it tells us we're currently ranking for 5.2 keywords organically, so 5.2 thousand keywords organically. And if I scroll down, the bit I'm interested in is this bit here. So top organic keywords. I'm just going to click view all 5.2K organic keywords, let it do its thing. And then if I scroll down, one graph, which I'll just point you to very quickly, is this graph. So this tells us the ranking performance of keywords over time. So you can see here, we're ranking for a lot more in August 2017. So just under 7.5K, and we have now since dropped to 5.2K, but these keywords are a lot more targeted and a lot more relevant. So that's something to bear in mind. The table that I'm really interested in though is this one. And this tells us which keywords we're ranking for. So in this case, for example, Groupon UK, currently ranking in position 45 for this keyword. It has this many average monthly searches, and it's ranking on this URL here. What I would do is I'd export this data, and all of it, all the data, going to export it as a CSV file just because it's easier to manipulate than a pure Excel file or XLS file, quite hard to say. And then once it's downloaded here, it will appear in the bottom left corner. I would then open this, and it'll take us to a page that looks something like this. Now, what we would do here is we want to get rid of basically all of these columns apart from this one. So the keyword column, the position column, and the search volume column, and the URL column as well. Once we've done all that, I'm not going to do it here, but once we got rid of all of the other columns, so we don't need any of these, for example, we would then copy that information into a separate file, an Excel file, and we would then get something that looks like this. So just these three columns I'm interested in for now. What I would then do, and let's say this data is for May 2021, I would then want to do a VLOOKUP. So just to quickly go over this sheet, because it is quite intimidating. Essentially, we've got the keywords here. I've then fixed this column just so that I can, when I scroll across, I can still see the keywords. If you're not sure how to do that, there is an option up here to freeze pane. So you just select the column you're interested in and click freeze panes. Then what I do is have the search volume for each of those keywords and then the ranking URL. So the first month, in this case, January 2020, would simply just be all of that information we had before, and you don't have to do anything particularly special with the formatting. If I was then wanting to find February 2020, instead of having to manually type in all these numbers, if I have this information here, so actually make more sense if I go across to May. So I'm just going to type in, or actually copy across rather, this value here. So it's in the same format. And then I'm just going to change the date. So that's the 5th month. So it's now May 21. And if I wanted to plug in this information here for May, I would simply do a VLOOKUP, and that's probably the easiest way. So type in VLOOKUP, and then I want it for this particular keyword. We're going to look it up against this sheet here and all of this information here. So I may have to, I'm going to have to scroll down just because my laptop isn't being very kind to me and not letting me select this using Control-Shift. So I just go all the way down. And I believe we're up 5.2K, weren't we? So if I just scroll up a little bit, we then get to the bottom. So that was 5230. We're looking at column 2 because that's the position or the ranking position. And then finally, we just need to type in false. Once we got all that, I'm then just going to type in a few $signs just to fix this table and then click enter. So what we'll then get, if I go back to this, is I'm just going to copy this. So select and press that bottom thing there, and we'll get all these keyword rankings that are pulled through. Now, as you'll see, some of these are coming back as not or NA, not available, and that's because SEMrush doesn't have information on these, or they're ranking over 101, meaning that SEMrush only has ranking data for the top 100 search results, and if it's above 100, it's not going to show it. So in this case, that would be for this particular keyword, but then for some of these other keywords, it doesn't have that information for whatever reason. This is where we would then go back to a tool like Keyword Rank Checker and just check actually manually what those keyword positions were. So for example, if I wanted to check, okay, I suspect we are ranking for weight loss plans. So I'm just going to copy that into this tool here and then leave it, ex-ante diet. Click I'm not a robot again, and then it will tell us hopefully what position we're ranking for weight loss plans ex-ante diet. I'll leave that a second to load. And you can see here, we're actually ranking position 66. So a million miles away from page 1, but nonetheless, I would want to put that information in here. So instead of it being, instead of it being not available, I'll type in 63 or 66 rather. Before I do that though, I'm just going to copy this. So you can see this is still quite a manual process, even though it's a lot quicker than finding the keyword rankings for every single keyword. It's still quite a manual process. So I'm just going to type in 66 there. And that's essentially how I would look up each of these months worth of data. Now I'm just going to delete that column because actually it's not the right month. I'm actually working ahead of it. So I'm going to delete that column. Don't need that right now. And we're just left with this. So that's the process of VLOOKing up and getting this information. Of course, then you can do some formatting. So if you wanted to have it color coordinated, for example, I'd select all of these columns. So go all the way down and then all the way across. And the thing that I'm interested in here, if I go to home, conditional formatting, color scales, and it's that one there. And that tells us, which keyword is, which keywords are doing well. And now I'm going to actually show you what this information is, because I appreciate I've only really shown you how we got this information, not told you what it is. So essentially, it tells us how our keywords have been ranking over time, which is obviously the premise of this whole video. So for example, diet plans, we were ranking beyond page 10 of Google UK, so we weren't really ranking for this keyword. And if I go across, I did this for the keywords, and then suddenly in June 2020 we shot up to position 6 because we started to target this keyword more actively for this particular URL, diet plans. And then we can see it has fluctuated since then and has been as high as position 5 in mid-November 2020, and then it has since dropped off onto page 2. So sort of in the 11 to 18 range, and actually we're on page 3 now, which isn't great, and we would look to be doing some improvements for this particular keyword. Going and looking at another keyword, so let's look at meal replacement. So here again, average monthly search volume of 6,600 searches. You can see in January 2020 we were ranking at position 15 for that particular keyword. We then got to position 4 in May 2020 after targeting it more. And then since then, again, it has dropped a little bit. And it's worth noting that, not to shift the blame onto anyone else, but on Google, they do regular updates. And in a particular recent core algorithm update that took place a couple of months ago, has seemed to have impacted our keywords a little bit. So we are looking to make up ground on some of these. But scrolling down a bit more, and you can get a sense of how these keyword rankings are tracking over time. And what's good about this color coordinating thing that we've got going on here is hopefully the idea is that as your keyword rankings improve over time, the color goes from red, so sort of harsh, not so good, to green. And obviously, position 1 is what we're aiming for, because that's the top of Google UK search results, which is fantastic. Clearly, we are ranking position 1 for Exante, which makes sense because this is a branded keyword, so we would hope to rank for this keyword. And that's essentially how you can track keywords over time using SEMrush and Excel together. Hope that all is clear. If you've got any questions at all, as always, with any of these videos, do let me know in the Q&A of this video. Okay, so I'm going to show you a third option, and this is probably my least favorite, even though it's a paid option as well, probably my least favorite of the 3, and that is using a keyword tracking tool like SEO Clarity or SE Rankings or LinkDex. So this is one we use at work, and I don't particularly like it, to be honest with you, but we're going to show you it nonetheless. So it is a paid tool, and I'm not particularly sure how much it costs, but I know it's quite a lot of money. And essentially what it lets you do is plug in some keywords that you want to track, and then it will actually tell you these without you having to manually update them. So for example, it tells us that we are now ranking position 1 for Exante. You can see here they're actually different from what we were shown on SEMrush, which is interesting. So it's saying that meal replacement diet, position 5 at the moment, diet shakes, position 5, meal replacement bars, down to position 9, meal replacement shakes, position 9, which was the same as SEMrush. You get the idea. It's basically the same thing. It's just a specialist tool, which, you plug in the keyword you want it to track, and then it will do the updating for you. Now I say it's my least favorite just because I find most of these tools quite clunky, and I think actually by doing the process yourself, it kind of, I don't know, it seems to ingrain itself better. You can kind of get a better sense, in my opinion, where you actually are ranking. Of course, though, if you don't have the time to do that faffing about with SEMrush and then Excel, and you have some money to spare, then a tool like SEO Clarity could be a good option for you. Hope you found this video interesting. Lots to take in, I appreciate. And like I said, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. With all that being said, though, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.